Okay, so I asked Germanium to use this image as in its icon style. Okay, and then I set this hotspot. Okay, so what is this hotspot? Okay, a 3D point, right? Let's say like this point here. You know where it is in 3D scene. But when you have a 2D image, which part of that 2D image actually aligns with that point? So this is how you control it. If I look at the image alone, okay, I want this tip here to point to the point geometry's point, right? So I chose it as 50% and 100%. I mean in the icon's image space. Okay, you can also specify in pixels if you rather. Okay, and just to illustrate that this is, you can really use any point. Let me just show. Let's say I want the iPhone icon. Okay. Say I want a PNG. I want a PNG so that it has transparency. Okay, let me take this for example. So if I just grab this URL and drop it in here, okay, and I change the coordinates. Okay, there we have an iPhone in our scene. Okay, so you can see also that the hotspot is still centered at the bottom. So whenever I rotate it around or anything, that's the point that's sticking to the 3D coordinate. Okay. Now another important thing to note when you're choosing between icons and the arrows and diamonds is that the diamonds and arrows are 3D. So when you zoom out, they'll become smaller and smaller. Okay. But the icons are 2D, so when you zoom out, they actually stay the same size. See? And now this is why the icon placemark is the most commonly used, because most of the time you want it to stay the same size. So even if the user is very far away, he can still click on it. You can still see it, you can still click on it. Okay? However, of course, there are some cases where you do want it to grow smaller, and that's when you should use the 3D placemarks instead. Okay. There are also some properties you can set to make them disappear when you reach a certain distance, but I'll let you find them yourself. Okay, on to the rest of the placemarks. So the next one is a line placemark. Okay, so if I run it, I get a line which is made up of 4 points. Okay, and the 4 points are specified here. Should be straightforward by now. So 1, 0, 5, and so on and so forth. Okay. One thing to note here is that there's more than one way of specifying the 3D coordinates. This is what we call the raw form. So we pass in the 3D coordinates directly. But sometimes you actually have the coordinates from elsewhere. So let's say, for example, I want to make this line end up at this placemark. Okay, so let me clear it first. Add back icon. Okay, let's say I want the line to actually end up at the icon. What I can do is actually I can get the position of the icon and add it to the line. So how do I get this icon? Okay, I clicked on it. So it has become the active placemark. Okay, so I can get its geometry, which is the point. Then I get its position. Okay, so when I run this, what has happened is I copied over this icon's position and added it to the line. Okay, so this is sometimes useful, like when you're using a line to draw a path and you want to actually mark parts of the significant parts of the path. You can just copy over the values like this. Okay, okay, back to the line. There's also the line style, and here we're saying that we want the line to be red, using web colors. We want it to be have a thickness of 3 pixels. And we want it to have a dashed pattern. Okay. In case you're wondering what other patterns are available, okay, as always, you go to the API documentation. So, for example, geometry style. Okay, so there's a line pattern constants here. So this actually lists down all the valid values that you can pass in, so all the different types of lines that you can make. So all this kind of information is in the API documentation. Okay, and lastly, I wanted this to do a sliding forward animation so that it sort of suggests that this is a path and I should be going this way. So I specified a forward animation, okay, in the animation mode. Okay. Okay, so next is the polygon placemark, which is very similar to the line in that you pass in coordinates, okay, and Germanium will then fill in the polygon. Okay, so in this case, it specified them in this particular order. Okay, however, note that because you are actually asking Germanium to fill the polygon in, you must obey some rules. Okay, so one of them is the polygon must be flat. Okay, and there can be no crisscrossing lines. Okay, what I mean by crisscrossing lines? Okay, how do you guys draw a star? Okay, yeah, okay, that's the way all of us learn, right? So we draw a star this way. Okay, however, the problem with drawing a star in the polygon form that's the correct way. Okay, is you end up getting crisscrossing lines, or intersecting lines, if you want to speak mathematically. Okay, so if you draw it this way, Germanium will not be able to fill in the polygon for you. So even if you ask it to fill in, you get a hollow polygon like this. Okay, so the correct way to draw a star in Germanium is like this. Okay, you can specify these points, and then you can well, fill in all the spaces, and you can also do the extrusion. Okay, so this will become clearer as you play around it and try it out. Okay, so these are all just synthetic polygon examples just running in Limbo. So let's take a look at how a polygon would be used in a building. So let me just clear it first. Load up the building. And this example just adds a polygon to level 2. And you can see how it can be used to actually highlight a zone that you're interested in, or rather you want your user to be interested in. And you can embed extra information like giving him some instructions like this. Okay. So if you're wondering how I got these numbers, well, I used that pattern where I actually end up clicking on the spots. Okay, or I can just demonstrate now. Let's say I want to highlight this office. So make sure I've run this. Clear the log. Oh, I did too many times. Okay, let me clear this event handler first. Okay, so I get it one time now. Okay, so let's say I want to highlight. Okay, let me take another object here. Okay, so if I double click here, 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 so I get these 4 coordinates. Copy them. Then in this example, I replace all of this with my new polygon. Oops. Okay, and let's just say I want to add some thickness. So polygon dot set extrusion height. Say I want it 2 meters. So when I run it, yeah, that's what I get. Okay. Yeah, so that's how useful the double click pattern is.